let's go. Let's get into this because we have something really cool to talk about today. This was one of our most popular presentations. We talked about this last week, and we're bringing it back today because of high demand. It's one of those things, Mita. I think this is one of those things where you have to talk about this. It's not a sexy conversation. It's not a fun thing to think about. It's not like when we talked about hacking and stuff like that, where there's this mystique to it. This is like feet on the ground, business strategy. What would happen if your business went dark for 72 hours? And 72 hours is a very important, as you know, it's a very important number because that's the make or break point.
That is correct, right? So what happens is if you are unaware of when you check out unexpectedly, what's going to happen, and you may know the next few hours, but what about 72 hours? What if someone got a hold of your laptop and it's now 72 hours and you have no way of recovering? Do you still have a business continuation plan? Do you still know, do the people who are left behind know what to do? So this is a good conversation.
I like how you said that, the business continuation plan. What we're really talking about today is something called business continuance disaster recovery. BCDR are the initials that you'll hear me use quite a bit. And this covers everything from you know what? I don't want to call out a client or anything like that, but I know you have clients whose software got automatically updated and it caused everything to break on their machine, and it left them in a place where they had you not been available to them, it left them in a place where they wouldn't have been able to work.
Absolutely. And so these are the little things we encounter. So I always say this to everyone I meet. I said, there's never a dull day where we are. And something or the other is always happening as far as technology is concerned. Just as early as yesterday, a client was forced into upgrading to Windows 11. The machine was not beefed up enough to handle Windows 11 upgrade. They were out. They could not even boot themselves up. We had to rush there quickly, and within an hour, we got them up and running. But these are the little things that happen as you recognize your space and the need for technology, but yet someone there to guide you when you need them.
You know, we've talked about hacking in the past, and we've talked about email compromise and things like that. But that's just one level of outage that can exist. Another one is just something completely what you would expect. Oh, my operating system's going to update. You do the update, and then all of a sudden, nothing's working. So denial of service can come from external, can come from internal. Disaster strikes. You've got to have a business continuance plan to be able to handle that. And that's what we're talking about today. So as an example, and this is a real life example, it wasn't last Tuesday, but imagine a week ago Tuesday, somebody in their business, their laptop dies. Within 24 hours, no customer contracts going out or coming in. No access to any kind of information, including the database. No website login credentials, which were all stored on the laptop, not here, not stored in the cloud somewhere, not secured. No, can't log into anything. Supplier contacts scattered. No one knows who to contact to do what, because everything again is on the laptop that's been down. And this is where we start to see a lot of exposure in a lot of places. And by hour 72, this is a real life story, almost $5,000 in emergency recovery to get the laptop back online. That 72 hours resulted in 3 weeks of lost productivity. It's not that they were down for 3 weeks, Mita. You know this. They were down for
That's
72
correct.
hours, but productivity was stifled for 3 weeks. What do you think about that?
I almost like to adhere this to choking up the system, right? You have now got a bottleneck, and because you were unable to make room for such emergencies that may occur, you are choking up the system, and then you're your own worst critic, and you're your own worst enemy, and you've now incurred all these expenses because we weren't thinking ahead.
Yeah. So this is a real life example. And it wasn't a case of there was a strategy to deal with this. In this real life example, the hard drive failed on the laptop. And the reason it was so expensive to get it back is because when a hard drive fails, it's very difficult to get that hard drive working long enough to be able to extract the data off of it. There are lots of techniques to be able to do it, but it's not easy, it's time consuming, and it's costly. So it wasn't that this person had a bad strategy. It was just because it was Tuesday. They just randomly things went south. So it's not about if a disaster is going to strike. It's when a disaster strikes because it happens to all of us. And what I always tell people is when disaster happens, it's not personal. It's not against you. It's just inevitable. This is just the way things go. And you see this.
It happens to all of us. And, it's not about will it happen to me or when it will happen to me. It is going to happen. It's just a matter of, like we said, when it happens, right? Not if, when.
And so, what I see when I talk to business owners, and I know you see this as well, business owners are 90% focused on the growth of their business. That's everything that you do inside of your business to get it to keep going and to get it to grow. But there's only 10% focus on continuity. Continuity is what happens when things go wrong? How do you keep moving forward? Without continuity, your growth is completely at risk because, like that example, you could lose 3 weeks of productivity. So, Mita, take us through these three disaster scenarios. Scare me a little
But
bit when you.
first things first, right? Personal crisis. Dare a bus hit you, that's a personal crisis. Something happens
Mm-hmm.
at your home, you're taken out for weeks. Nobody knows how to run the business because everything is in your head and you're in charge of everything. And
Mm-hmm.
with small businesses, we wear many hats, and it's not possible to, have many people running different departments. So you're there. Tech failure anytime, like I said yesterday, as soon as yesterday, we had people who were out of their business because they were not ready for a Windows upgrade, and their system kicked in and the operating system took over. Human factor, employees quit. Yeah, we've had that. Middle of a crisis, the guy is like, I'm not coming. This is too stressful for me. And you just have to run with that knowledge that this can happen, and we need to find ways to move past that, right?
It's the rogue, really the rogue employee that I think is just this huge risk for many people. You get an employee that's a little bit disgruntled over something. They just get a little bit of a little bit of anger towards the business. Maybe they were passed up for a promotion and they didn't get a raise, or you know what? Maybe they got a job at a competitor. And now that employee is going to look to undermine you and the business silently, quietly, slowly over time. Then the day comes and they leave and everything goes down. That is terrifying. Let me ask you this question, Mita, regarding the first one with the personal crisis. If you and I were talking in 2018, and I said, a time's going to come in our lifetime where we all have to stay home and can't go to work for a month, would you have believed it? Can you even imagine? But then it happened.
No, what? I'll tell you a personal story. Years and years ago, I was trying to figure out which career to pick. And my dad's like, you must go into the computers and
Mm,
technology because you can work from home. This was, I want to say 30 odd years ago.
mm,
And I was like, oh, that sounds like a fancy idea, working from home, mom and working from home. So our industry always allowed that. But then came COVID, and every other industry who wasn't allowed to do that had to step up and allow employees to do that. But think about all that, right? That we've come so far where technology allows us to log in remotely. But
yep.
have we put all the checks in place in order for us to optimally maintain our workspace because we're working remotely now, right?
Yeah. A lot of people weren't prepared for what happened when we all had to stay home because it wasn't conceived as part of their business. Even people with business continuance plans weren't prepared for it. So the reality is preparedness is going to be important. So here's the breakdown of the 72-hour window. In the first 24 hours, you have an option of being within complete control because you have a plan, you have a strategy, or if you don't, your world is filled with chaos. Then the next day, 24 to 48 hours, are you moving into a recovery mode or are you spiraling out of control And then by the time we get to hour 48 to hour 72, are you going to survive this, or is this going to be the demise, the failure of your business? The first 72 hours mean absolutely everything. So, our mission for today is to identify the 7 critical systems that need to be observed and need to be accounted for in a BCDR plan. Remember, business continuance, disaster recovery. I want to show you how to find the vulnerabilities that might exist within your current plan if you have one. And then we want to take a look at what's going to happen when a disaster does hit. And finally, we're going to give you a roadmap to fix it. So, Mita, let's go through these 7 critical systems because every business owner runs on these. But when you talk to people and you ask them if they're familiar with the 7 critical systems, what do they say?
They can't name the 7 systems. You
Yeah.
know, at most they'll say, yeah, they have the keys to the office,
Mm.
right? If they have a physical office, and yes, they can log into their system, and maybe they'll text them the code and all that, but there is no plan in place. And I think these are practical, good examples to walk through and to implement in our business.
System number 1, Mita, is customer data and relationships. This is what's stored inside of your CRM, your customer relationship management software. So I want you to think, you guys watching this, you guys who are here live, or if you're watching this on the recording, what would happen if your CRM, that's something like HubSpot, High Level, Keep, all of these softwares where your customers are stored. Many of them are in the cloud. In fact, most of them are in the cloud. Very few people self host anymore. If that system were to go away, could you contact your customers today or tomorrow? Here's what I mean by that. All of the customer contact information is stored in your CRM. And now imagine it's at a place like HubSpot. Now, HubSpot, you have no control over. You don't manage their servers. You don't manage their security. What if there was a breach in their security? What if somebody broke in and a denial of service attack happened and all of their servers were inaccessible to you? Could you contact your customers today or tomorrow? I'm going to bet 90% of people are going to say, I would have no idea.
Absolutely not, right? Because we're so used to being sold the idea of we got you and you don't have to think differently. And so
Mm-hmm.
we're reliant on them and making sure that they will have our back. But what if they go down? You know, the
Yeah.
people that we're trusting, what if they go down? What's plan B? And this is good time to talk about plan B, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Just a quick stat. If you can't reach your customers within 72 hours, 30% of them are going to move on. They're going to move on to somebody else. So here's the action step for everybody who's watching this today. Set a reminder in your calendar where once a week you are taking a database backup of your customer data. It's very easy to do. Every single one of these systems has the ability to go in and do a CSV, comma, separated value backup. You can open that in any spreadsheet. Further, Mita, you can also import it into another system if you had to move to another system. You recommend doing this every Friday afternoon, don't you?
Absolutely. And not only do I recommend, taking a backup, we also recommend following the 3-2-1 factor, have your backups do in 3 different places, do it
Mm-hmm.
twice a month, and, have one other place that you're putting it elsewhere. These are important, methods to follow, not just for your business, but even for your personal stuff. You have your deed and you have your life insurance and all that. Just make sure you have 3 different copies and you put it in 2 different places. Good information here.
If you guys who are watching this, if you want to sound fancy at your next the next party that you're at, you could say that your backups have geographic diversity. That'll make you sound really smart. I'm working on my backup geographic diversity. What that means is we're keeping things in different geographic locations. In the case of fire, theft, flood, the other location should be okay. Let's hope the other location's okay. The further away, the better. System number 2 is financial records and access. So in your absence, I have it in here, if you were unconscious for whatever reason, if you were unavailable and you couldn't run payroll, is there someone else that could run payroll for you? This is an essential system within your business. Whether it's you as a sole proprietor, you still need to get paid, or if you have employees, or if you have 1099 contractors, these people need to get paid. It's part of your responsibility. And if you don't pay them, chances are they're not going to be working for you anymore. And then you have a bigger problem to deal with. So
Oh,
go
and
ahead.
I know I understand that, payroll is a sensitive subject and not everybody wants to share that kind of
Mhm.
information. But you need to find that one person that you can share with. It could be your HR person or it could be your spouse or your partner in business. But one more person should be shared. And you know what? Rotate your passwords. Don't store one password and everybody has access to it all the time. Just for the time. So every week have a new rotation so you know that it's not being taken for granted and nobody that you unknown to you is accessing your system.
So the rule here is to have three people. You have three levels. You should be one of those people, and then two other people should be able to access your financial systems. The way it's set up in my business that works extremely well is Amy in accounting handles everything. She's number one point of contact. If something goes wrong, she's unavailable, it falls back to me. And then if for some reason I'm unavailable, it goes to our accountant. And our accountant is an external person that's not a part of the organization, but he's been with me for 25 years. So he has the third level of access. That's generally a pretty solid way of doing it. Just make sure
Yeah.
you can trust all of those people.
In QuickBooks, and this is just a QuickBook thing, but there are other systems that make provisions for that. You can actually carve out roles and say, my accountant gets this view only, and this person gets that view only. If you want Amy to just run payroll, then that's all she will get access to. So look into that as well, right? You don't have to give the keys to the kingdom to everybody or that one other person who's your backup. You can give them the only the privileged security that you want them to have
Yeah.
access to.
Mita, the next one's wild. It's login credentials to websites. How many different logins do you think people have in general?
And it must be double digits. I have to say double digits because there
Yeah,
is no way,
yeah,
yeah, there is no way. There you go, 30 to 50. There is no way we're storing one name, one credential everywhere all across.
yeah. It's wild. Most people have 30 to 50 different logins to run their business, and 90% of people, I said, boy, I see this all the time. They keep it in their head, or my favorite place where people keep their login credentials is on a post-it note. Mita, where do they keep the post-it note?
Uh, Under the keyboard.
Under the keyboard.
And they think nobody knows about it.
Yeah, and they do. They think nobody knows about it. But that's probably better having it here than on the computer that failed, because at least this isn't going to fail. But your cleaning people also know about this one too. So you got to watch out. You get a cleaning
Yes.
company that comes in there or a
You know,
maintenance company and they're looking under keyboards for login credentials. That's a
I,
whole
I, I
different conversation.
I was going to say I don't want to diverge, but there's I think it's called Diamond Heist, and it's Demi Moore in there, and it's all about how they leave important information. They throw it in trash. They don't shred it, and there's a janitor who comes around every evening and brings all that keeps putting all that information together, and then at the end of it, they're able to create a diamond heist just by bringing in the trash. So be careful how you throw away your passwords and
It's
you
it's
know
a reality. I mean, it is a reality. And in our previous episodes, we've talked about people being able to hack into your systems. But the reality is, if your password is written here or on a sticky note here, and a cleaning person comes in and gets it, and then they sell it, and that person logs in and changes all of your credentials, your two-factor authentication, changes all of it, that's a denial of service. That's a disaster that you have to be prepared for. So it really bridges other things that we've talked about. So that's system
and
number.
then one more story before we move on, Chris. One more
Yeah.
story that comes to mind is, how an not ex a lead of ours, someone who knocked at our door to ask us for assistance. He had given a token to someone in 2021. That
Mm-hmm.
person, being a vendor, did not allow the token to die. And 5 years later, they reenacted that token and took
Mm-hmm.
10,000 away from them.
Took them
This
down.
is real. This is real.
System number 4 is employee knowledge and documentation. So ask yourself this question: if your best employee quit today, whether they're an employee or they're a contractor that you're relying on, I work for companies as a consultant. And some of these companies I've been with for 10 years. I'm so integrated into those businesses, but we have to make sure that if for some reason, hey, if I won the lottery and I decide not to do this anymore, not I don't even play the lottery, but that's a weird example. If I found a bag of cash, a bag of cash in my driveway, and I decided not to do this anymore, got to make sure that there's somebody else that can step in. This is the difference. Go ahead,
Go
Mita.
ahead. No, I'm sorry.
Go
Go
ahead. Well,
ahead.
I was just going to say, Mita, it's the difference between tribal knowledge. In tribal knowledge, it's like, oh, Nancy in HR knows how to do that versus a documented process. These are the steps we follow. Go ahead with what you were going to say, please.
So, one other thing that we should keep in mind is we become so reliant on technology and other people doing what they have to do. And of course, you can't always be carrying everybody's burden, but just having an oversight and making sure that that person is carrying through or doing what that extra step that you need them to do is being done. Just
Mm-hmm.
check every now and then. Hey, did you document that? We brought in that new system, or we brought in that new employee. Have we got all the credentials? Just have the top of mind and make a list in your everyday directory to remind you, your calendar to remind you, hey, just check with HR department, check with payroll. And you being the boss of your company requires that you have an overall view, an aerial view of every department. So
Really
just
great
check
points.
up with them.
Really, really great points. Mita, tell me about supplier and vendor relationships. What do you see with your clients as it comes down to these relationships?
You have to be vigilant about managing these relationships. You allow vendors to touch. In fact, one of the things we do, so vendors will touch your systems regularly. You will be
Mm-hmm.
touching them. So it is so important that you validate your vendors and you validate who they are touching. So third party touch points are also important. So be vigilant about who you give access
Yeah.
to, and more importantly, be vigilant about removing the access once you are done with those suppliers or vendors that you work with.
And then the next level is having an understanding of what happens. Let's imagine one of your vendors had to close for 2 weeks, or they closed permanently. That's again out of your control. So if you have a vendor or a supplier and you have relationships with these people, or you have a consultant, like I'm a consultant for many businesses that just keep me around for years and years, if that person were to go away, what happens? How do you handle that? What are the fallback plans? Your contracts have to be consolidated. You can't have pricing just anecdotally stored in the tribe somewhere. You've got to have all of this stuff documented so that if one of your vendors goes away, you're able to pick up where they left off with another vendor at a similar price point so that we don't compromise the flow of the business. So very important.
And all this sounds overwhelming if we're just trying to boil the ocean one day and say, hey, I need to do this and I need to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you regularly do it, chip away a little bit at a time, you'll see over a couple of months, you'll have a nice system established for yourself. And then it's just to make sure, cross-check, make sure we're done that. And then, you're way ahead of the game than anyone else around you, right?
Yeah, agreed. Mita, tell me about what would happen if email went down for the people that you work with.
Don't we all rely on email? In fact, 90% of our businesses operated on emails. You want to make sure your vendors are communicating with you and you're communicating back to them. If that goes down, you can rest assured that your business is in the water for many, many hours. And Microsoft has been known for that, right? So make sure you have the phone numbers handy and make sure you have other ways of communicating with your vendors, because email should not be your only form. I don't encourage snail mail, but that can be a way to operate if you had to.
If you
So
had
have the
to.
contacts ready, right? So
Yeah.
CRM again, we're talking
Yeah.
about back to CRM.
In my own business, we have a protocol of the way that we communicate with people that involves email, it involves social messaging, it involves Slack, and it involves WhatsApp, as well as texting and calling. We have all of these things in place and we have preferred methods. And if a preferred method goes away, I'll tell you a story about that in just a second. If a preferred method goes away, we just fall back to the next one down. But I have a lot of clients that like to communicate with me through Facebook Messenger. And that's fine. As long as you and I can get in touch with each other, I'm cool using anything. However, Meta just announced that December 15th, Facebook Messenger, the application on your computer, is going to be gone. They're going to sunset it. So the mechanism that I use to communicate with some of we have mastermind groups that we communicate with, that tool is going away. The web-based tool will still be available, but a lot of my clients like having that application up. They got a quick question for me, boop, it shows up right there. So we have to move to the next level and we have to just move to a different application. That's part of our plan.
Right? Just make sure all methods of all your touch points, all methods of getting back to your customer are there up and operational,
Yep.
right?
I'm going to ask the group that's here today, if the IRS called you tomorrow, System 7, which is legal compliance and contracts, if the IRS called you tomorrow, could you find your tax records within the next 10 minutes? A lot of businesses experience critical failures because they didn't know how to handle either compliance issues, contractual issues, or legal issues when they arose because everything is scattered and they just didn't know what to do. They didn't know how to handle it.
So many of us suffer from that, right? We have important documents and we think we know where they are,
Yeah.
but dare they be misplaced, or dare you not remember where you placed them?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we'll have access to it right away. So another checkpoint, right? Another house check we must maintain. Make sure you know where your important documents are.
Yeah. I recommend an EDMS, electronic document management system, something that is both in-house, stored on a local machine with backups in the cloud, and then a physical geographically dispersed backup. So those are the 7 systems, but now things get real fun because now it's time to do a 60-second, 5-question stress test. Don't worry about it. You're not going to be graded on this, you guys, but I do want you to take this seriously. Ready? In the next 60 seconds, let's answer these 5 questions. Your laptop is gone. Can you access your email from another device right now? And by right now, I mean you don't have to find your credentials and set it up on another device. Email goes down on your computer. Do you have a secondary device, tablet, phone, secondary computer, laptop, for example? Do you have that where you can access it right now? Not in 5 minutes, but right now. Question number 2. There's a car accident. You're in the hospital for a week. Could your business continue with you in the hospital for a week? That's a tough one for a lot of people. Take us through number 3, Mita.
Most important, software stops working. So many of us have all these different softwares that we have on our machines. Sometimes half the software don't collaborate or don't work. Do you have a backup plan, right? We have to make sure we're storing it somewhere, understand how to work that software if it went down.
It's just like the example you gave us earlier where somebody's operating system went down. Within an hour they were back up because they had a plan. They had a plan in place. An hour of downtime, not terrible compared to the 72 hours that can throw a business into a downward spiral.
And that's, maybe it's good to elaborate a little bit on that. The sooner you recover your systems, the better for you, right? 24 hours, which leads to 48 hours, you're now further away from recovery. 72 hours, you're that much more into debt, that much more removed from your people.
Yeah.
So make sure you test all this out and recover as quickly as possible.
Yeah. And then number 4, could someone else access payroll if you were unavailable? You're walking down the street, somebody walks up to you and says, "Hey, guess what? Whirlwind trip to Belize. Would you like to go?" "Yeah, I'd like to go." Not even thinking that payroll needs to be run that afternoon. Could somebody else run it in your absence? And remember the importance of being able to pay the people that work for you and the vendors that work for you as well.
They keep the lights on. Customer calls with an urgent issue, you're unreachable. And there are so many times, you're sitting in a meeting or you're in a tunnel and nobody is able to reach you. Would your team know what to do? Empower them, right? Teach them, have regular meetings, empower them to make decisions on your behalf and say, if I'm not reachable, let's have this plan in place.
And that part of that plan is part of your BCDR plan that you store in your electronics document management system, your EDMS. And everybody knows, okay, they're gone, they're unavailable. What is the protocol that we follow to keep things running? Boy, just saying it sounds good because it gives you the confidence and the assurance that if things do go wrong, there's going to be a bulkhead that keeps more things from going wrong. Now, I know, Mita, that was just a quick 5-question test, but I think it illuminates a lot of the things that
I,
we've talked about.
I honestly think, just following these 5 steps will actually help you and differentiate yourself from the rest of them. Think about your peers and think about people who are unprepared or don't have the knowledge to know which 5 things to touch. You have this in place. Think about if COVID ever happened again, you'd be in such a better place than the next person because you already had, the 3 to 1, the geolocation in place, and your employees were already trained and the payroll was already in place. So good strategies to follow here.
So as you've answered these questions, let's keep track of how many you said yes to. Number one, laptop is gone. Can you access email? Yes or no? Car accident, you're in the hospital for a week. Can your business continue? Yes or no? Your most important software stops working. Can you recover? Yes or no? Can someone else run payroll in your absence? Yes or no? And customer calls with an urgent issue and you're not reachable. Does your team know what to do? Because you're going to score yourself. If you said 5 yeses, you're in the top 5% of prepared businesses. I'm very grateful to be able to say 5 yeses to those. If you had 3 to 4 yeses, you're vulnerable in critical areas. It's time to do a little assessment on that. And if you only had 0 to 2 yeses, you are one disaster
Yes.
away from serious trouble.
Serious trouble,
Yeah.
right? Do yourself a favor. Don't get into serious trouble because if your business gets into serious trouble, you can help it. You can do something about it. But if you're in serious trouble, there's very few people who can help you there.
Mita, you know what I'm so excited about at this part of the presentation is the audit that you have for people. The free audit that goes 100 times deeper than that 60-second assessment.
That's
Some of
correct.
the important considerations as you're thinking about doing an audit is making sure that you have the right setup, that you have the right tools and software in place, that you have checklists, that you have the procedures and the protocols, that you have the action plans that people can just follow by reading, and that you have this all in your BCDR plan, your playbook, and all of that is in this free audit that you have for people.
That's correct. That's correct. We help you to just strategize, think from the top, get a bird's eye view, break it down step by step, and just give you an idea of what it should look like should things go south. Are you in a better place? And just follow these protocols. And it's a standard assessment that we do for all businesses and help you put all that together.
I took this quote from somebody that you work with that had a flood in their office, and there was a massive amount of financial loss from the damaged equipment, but they didn't lose this person, Sabrina, I think, yeah, Sabrina is their name. This person didn't lose any money from their business because they had done this audit and they just had a complete plan in place. So that's a cool
Exactly.
success story that came from somebody taking this audit.
Exactly. And we have so many more of these stories, but it's just important, and these are free assessments that we help our customers with because we understand not everything needs, one, you don't need to pay for everything. And two, if someone is ahead of you or someone has a higher area of view, why not let them help you just strategize for you? It's good
Yeah.
for your business, good for you, good for your health.
Totally agree. So you could spend a couple of hours over the next couple of weeks doing the audit, fixing the gaps, or you fall into the land of
Good
hope.
advice.
You can fall into the land. Hope is not a strategy, Mita. It's
That's
just
yeah.
not.
So many of us go through our business plans thinking I'm sure it's not going to happen to me, and hopefully that won't happen to me. But hope is not a plan for
Hope
business,
is
and
not a plan. Yeah. So, Mita, in this free assessment that you have for people, they get the complete vulnerability assessment. They get a scoring system where they can identify their weak spots, priority on what to fix next, instructions on how to do it, recommendations for tools and software, both free and paid, as well as the templates, the checklists. And then I know you have a bunch of bonus resources that make this plan very comprehensive for someone. It's actually surprising that you give it away for free.
Yeah, no, and just a little bit on that, so many of the people that we talk to, they have so many software because they're like, oh, that was free, so we install that, and that was free, we install that. Little do they know that some of these softwares don't play well with each other. They
Yeah.
don't, they don't play well in the same sandbox. So good to just have this audit and see, all that you have or all that you're paying for that you might not be aware of. Is it even worth it? So clean house a little, take
Yeah.
that audit and clean house a little.
Totally. And these are the bonus resources that I think you offer that make that robust BCDR plan, and a checklist for when somebody leaves the business. I like to say this. This is what I say when instead of saying, "Oh, somebody got hit by the bus," what are we doing? Hey, an employee won the lottery and they vanished. That's a much nicer sentiment, I think,
More
right?
positive way to look at life.
Much more. I don't want to wish getting hit by a bus on anyone. I'd rather you win the lottery and I have to figure out how to replace you. I'd be very
Although
happy for you.
I'll tell you, Chris, that we always used to use the term hit by a bus so lightly until this person who reported to me in my previous life, her husband got hit by a car, and that evening changed everything for her. And so these are,
Yeah.
we saw the metamorphosis she had to go through because things were in place or were not in place, and
Yeah.
these things happen.
Also, a part of this plan, in addition to that, and I feel sad for her, is the emergency response playbook, which I'm sure would be helpful in that case.
Absolutely.
Vendor consolidation template, password manager. Uh,
So important to have the password
Super
manager,
important. And
right?
then a
It rotates your
communication plan.
passwords, it stores them. Just go ahead and have that if you're not going to do anything else. And if you want to just buy that from us, that would be so much healthier for your business.
So remember Mike from earlier, the dude that lost his laptop on a Tuesday? After going through the audit, you'll recall he scored 28 out of 100. So he spent 2 weekends fixing the recommendations in the audit. Half a year later, his accountant quit, his bookkeeper quit with no notice. And the message that we got, I didn't even panic. I pulled out the plan. It's the continuity plan. I threw that word in there. He just messaged us with, I pulled out the plan and got things running normally within the or by the next morning, and that would have destroyed the old me. So good for him for being able to handle a situation better. So what's your score? It's time for you to take this audit, Mita. How do they get a hold of this thing? Look at it. You designed it so beautifully. Look at this thing. It's a
Yes, everyone here knows where to get hold of me. I'm all over social media. My LinkedIn, you can have, email me, contact me through um, my meeting, set up the meeting with me, Calendly link. I'll throw that Calendly link in here for you guys. But call me. You guys all have my number, and I keep putting it out in my emails that I set up as well.
Why don't you
I'd
pop your email into
absolutely love to hear from you.
why don't you pop your email into the webinar chat so somebody can
I'm
send
doing
them an
that right
email?
now. Yeah.
Yeah. So and make sure you're sending that to everyone so everybody can see it. Um, I will tell you, I know this to be true, and I'm sure you'll agree. This is, oh, you can see your emails right even there on the screen too. How cool. This
Yes.
isn't a sales call, right? This is just you wanting to help people because that's, as I said at the beginning, you are a service-based individual. You are a people-first individual.
That's
So Mita,
correct. That's correct. I, honestly, Chris, I'm not sure if I ever shared this with you. I wanted to be a doctor, and I wanted to be a doctor so bad because I wanted to serve people. Obviously, that didn't go very far. I'm in
mm,
technology, but I can still apply the same mindset, right? Service is at my heart, and I just want to help. And it doesn't always have to boil down to money. Sometimes, just me showing you the right way is going to help you. And then when you have a problem, you'll be like, hey, she showed me the right way. Let me go back and ask her. So these are good free services that we offer, and please take
yeah.
advantage of that wherever you can.
You know, one of the best ways to demonstrate that you can actually help people is to actually help them. And that's what you're doing these days.
Right,
So,
given a chance, please
yeah.
help.
So can you pop your email
I'm
into the
doing it
chat?
right now.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
That's my
I kept
Calendly link.
interrupting you. There you go.
That's my
Oh,
Calendly
here's your
link,
Calendly link. Oh, that's
and
fancy.
then email to. I'm going to drop my
And
email.
what we'll do is we will also include that information somewhere near the replay of this. We'll have the replay of this up on your YouTube channel, and we'll make sure that information is all available down in the description of the video. So if you do have questions or you want to get a hold of this audit, just send Mita an email. And if you do want to get a hold of me, I can't imagine why you would, but if you do, you get a hold of me through Mita. That's the only way to get a hold of me is to get a hold of me through you. So just fall back to your email.
It's your hacking expertise, Chris.
That's what it is. I try to keep myself hidden. Somebody in the chat asks, I'm overwhelmed. I don't know where to start. What would you tell somebody who says, I'm overwhelmed and I don't know where to start? I know what I tell them, but I want to hear.
I mean, first call us. We're happy to help you. We'll roll up our sleeves. We'll sit with you. We're happy to break it down. But again, we've gone through the 5 simple steps, and if you just look through those 5 simple, systems and put that at the top of your checklist or to-do list, you'll be in a better place. But
Somebody in the chat says, get the guide. I agree. The guide will guide you through. It will tell you the step-by-step plan. Here's the reality, Mita. It can be very overwhelming to think about this, right? It's a scary thing to think about, but it's not something to be ignored. And even me, where, my business, it runs very lean with very few employees, we still have a BCDR plan because it's an important thing to have if you want to keep the business running.
And why would you want to sabotage your business? Like you're the owner, and you want to scale it and you want to grow in leaps and bounds. Just get the little house checks done and make sure all of the foundation work is set so that you can scale.
Mita, somebody's asking about the term geographic dispersity. Let me explain what that means. Geographic diversity means when you create, let's say you imagine you create 2 backups of something. You've got your working model, you get your working software. You have a single backup on, say, a portable drive, and you have a secondary backup on another portable drive. So we have 2 different portable drives. Geographic diversity means you take that second drive and you physically go somewhere and you keep it there. My recommendation is get a safety deposit box at a bank, and the hard drive goes in there. And then once a month, it's on your calendar, first day of the month, is you do a backup to the drive that you have in-house. You go to the bank, you put that in the safety box, you take the other one out, and you come back and you make another backup on that one. And then you also have a backup in the cloud. 3 backups, 1 in the cloud, 1 on your premise, and then another one geographically diverse. It's somewhere else, so that in case anything happens here and the cloud goes away, you still have the drive that's in the safety deposit box. Hopefully the bank kept it safe.
Because we all understand that data is commodity. We work so hard to get these leads, and we work so hard to get these vendors to be our clients. And if we don't know how to save them, if we don't know how to guard them, then we're losing. It's business gone, customers gone, and that's not good.
Somebody's asking about the CSV backup. So what I meant by that was, in your CRM, that's your customer relationship management software, whatever it is, I'd bring you inside of mine, but I can't show you client data. When you go into your list of contacts, there's going to be somewhere in there where you're able to click and do an export. Exporting as a CSV file is the most compatible file for recovery, because it is a spreadsheet that works with just about any system. Any system you can upload a CSV to. So go into your CRM, whether that's HubSpot or Keep or whatever you use to keep your customers. Go in there and find the button that will allow you to do a CSV backup. Back it up to your machine, put it on a USB drive, and bring it home, so that you have, again, geographic diversity. And now you have a backup that you can run from should they ever go down or go away. I hope that's clear. Let me know if that's
Yeah. And one more thing to that, you will be given an option to download as an Excel. Try not download as an Excel. Choose the CSV file.
Yep. Oh, it's very smart. I'm glad you said that. Somebody says, what if I don't have someone I can trust with my payroll? Then I think,
Good question, actually.
Yeah. If that's the case, you need to initiate like a break glass in case of emergency protocol, where you've got a USB drive or something that has access information, that in the event that things go so south that you're not able to get it, you can call someone and talk them through the process of doing it. The reality is, there's a lawyer. You've got to have a business lawyer. I hope you have an accountant or somebody like that. There's got to be somebody that is in your circle that you've got to have enough trust. You might have a bigger issue if there's nobody that you can trust.
Very good point, actually, yes. Because, if we're not able to go away for a few days without worrying about our business, then we haven't grown enough, right? We're not mature enough. And I think maturity comes when you're able to push some of that work to the people who are actually responsible for taking care of that. So, go ahead and put a plan in place and make sure that you're not being the atlas carrying your business all over with you. and
Yeah.
the only person.
Mita, somebody's asking for clarity on the client that you were talking about that had the Windows update. Could you just go into a little bit without, without divulging too much? Could you explain
Yeah.
what happened?
So Microsoft has issued, it's been out for over a year now. October is when they stopped supporting Windows 10, and many computers that the operating system is just restarting and trying to push Windows 11. Sometimes your machines are capable of handling the upgrade, and sometimes they're not. And this particular client was not, her machine was not beefed up enough to handle the operating system, the new operating system. And everything just froze and came to a standstill. And luckily, we were able to get her up and running within an hour.
Amazing. Amazing. Mita, that covers all the questions that we have. I guess I'll ask the question, if we could bring you a topic that you want to learn about, I'd love to hear in the chat what you friends, you guys that are here watching this, what do you want to learn about? We have a whole list of things that we can talk about, but I love to come forward with what people want to learn. So, before we depart for today, if you want to share some of that, I can capture that and come
Right.
to you with
We
some
want to
things.
curate these conversations to things that are important to you. If there's something at the top of your mind that you'd like all of us to talk about and discuss, we'll take a deeper dive into that and bring relevant conversations back to us,
Hmm.
to this little community that we've started building up here.
It's so nice, isn't it?
I love it.
Somebody says that they're interested in learning about cloud computing. I like that. Could do that. Somebody else says automation. That is something that I actually am one of my favorite things in the world is
Yeah, I think that would be a nice conversation, Chris, because you know what? Like I said, we have so many software that we use and we don't know how to stitch them all together. Or
Hmm.
there's so much that we do that's still manual, right? We think we're automating, we're using Excel and we think we're automating. But if it's taking you more than half an hour, it's time to automate even that input process, right? So yeah, I think that would be a nice conversation to talk about just basic software that we use. How are we automating that and how can we efficiently move through that?
I just actually delivered that exact topic yesterday to one of my masterminds. So why don't we take that and
Okay,
reshape it for what we do, and bring that automation one. I think that'll be a really cool one to do. Let's work on that.
wonderful.
Wow. So Mita, I know next week is a holiday week for you. Are you able to come back and do one next Friday?
Let's do it,
Let's
holidays
do
or
it.
not. Remember what you said, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, there's no time off here.
Not for
Just
me.
keep
Still 2 days left
working.
to the work week. All right. Then why don't we say that next week we'll talk about automation, business automation. I
Wonderful.
specifically talk about marketing automation, but we'll talk about business automation processes as well. We'll bring that next week, Friday, 11 a.m. Eastern. You and I will be back together talking about that. Hope that if you're here today, hope you'll come next week. Keep an eye on your email for that invite. And with that, Mita, you get the last word. Bring us home.
Very nice presentation once again, Chris. Thank you for being with me. Thank you everyone who joined here. I'm really enjoying this community and every week coming to you with a new topic. And the more we dive into it, the more clarity that we have. Even I as a small business, and you might as well as a small business. But more importantly, you can take this to your friends and family and say, hey, this is what I learned today. And so share the knowledge, right? Share the love, share the
Mhm.
knowledge, and the more educated we are, the more we're able to officiate and scale up. So thank you for today, Chris. Thank you for everyone who joined us.
Thanks, Mita. We'll see you next week.
All right, bye now.